Okay, it looks like we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm Marisa Maruli. I'm part of the communications team here at Earth Buddy Pet. I'm so excited to be here with you with streaming live with Sean Zier, co-founder of Earth Buddy. Sean, how is it going today? I'm so excited to talk with you. Can you give us a little insight into what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, and it's great to be on here with you. And I'm really excited about our joint and mobility study that we're currently doing. Right now, through the 23rd, we're actually going to be doing enrollment for this study where the participants will receive 50% off 2 different products that we're going to be using for the study. And we're really excited. Once they complete the study, they actually get an additional coupon of 50% off for completing it too. So excited to tell you guys about that and some other cool things.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And I want to know more about what the study's about, like what molecule we're focusing on and everything like that. So that all sounds awesome. But before we dive in, I just want to tell everyone about some of the logistical parts of this live stream today. Two important things. One is we definitely want to open this up for Q&A for all of you. So anyone listening in at any point, you can type in a question and they will pop up for us to see. We might not answer them as the conversation flows, but we're definitely going to allocate time at the end to make sure that we answer your questions for you. So do stay tuned to the very end and do type in your questions at any point at all during the live stream. Maybe it does flow into our conversation and I'll pop your question right into our conversation. The second thing is that's super exciting is that if you stay tuned to our social media over the next couple of days, we're going to be posting a question that has to do with something that we talked about and learned here on this live stream. And the first person to answer that question properly across all channels like Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, the first person to answer that question properly will get a completely free product of your choosing from Earth Buddy. So that's super generous of you, Sean. I'm so excited. I think that the clients are going to be super excited. I see we have a lovely bunch of happy faces coming in from Sue Carter. So thanks, Sue Carter, for tuning in. We're happy you're here. And all right, Sean, it's time I pass the mic over to you. Can you start by breaking down let's get into this study a little bit, but more so about what molecule we're isolating, what we're focusing on, which is CBDa.
Yes.
We hear so much about CBD, or I've heard so much about CBD. I think the whole world is hearing so much about CBD, but CBDa, what's that all about?
Yeah, I'm excited. We started making products with CBDA in them a few years ago now. And before I get into that, just something I always want to bring up is, we started this company for our own pets and pets with a variety of issues. So whenever we started making products and when we sat down with a bunch of veterinarians to formulate these different formulations and design them, we had our own pets in mind. So there were specific issues that we wanted to address, and in using kind of research available and what these products are being used for, we came to these conclusions, and it's been great. Now, fast forward, we're able to get some real world data from these studies. So I'm excited for that. But on to CBDA. So basically, all CBDA is the raw form of CBD. So the really simple way of explaining that is when you see a bud or a flower from the hemp plant, the CBDA is what is in that bud or the flower. It's the raw form. And basically, the only difference is when it's extracted and then heated, it converts to CBD. It's
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really simple form. The cool thing is what we found through just our lab testing and things like that is that we see a much wider variety of plant compounds that are going to be beneficial. So why CBDA for any of these products, you asked? What we find with our CBDA products is that, one, it takes a step out of the processing equation, and with a name like Earth Buddy, we want to keep it as natural as it can possibly be and true to that plant as possible. So one, we're doing a more or a less refined version of the extract. And then two, what we find through research and just what we've seen is, on a technical aspect, it has a much better binding affinity to a wide array of receptors in the body. So the endocannabinoid system that pets and all mammals have these receptors that dictate our mood, our ability to handle pain and things like that. So what we find with CBDA is that it has a much better binding affinity to these receptors beyond just your regular CBD.
Wow. And I have to stop you there for 1 second. So just to clarify, what you're saying is that CBDA is the original form of CBD.
Yes. So every cannabinoid in the plant has a acid form. So cannabidiolic acid. So, and when I say acid, it's not the acid that is like when people say, "Oh, is that going to burn me?" or anything. It's not that type of acid. It's just it's just the molecule that represents it. And then once heated, that molecule drops off and it becomes the regular CBD or cannabidiol. So
Okay, so CBDA is what comes out of the plant originally, raw form,
yeah,
and then it has to get heated, gets
yeah.
heated in some process, and that's how all these manufacturers turn it into CBD that we all know today.
Yes. So
Wow.
the funny saying that I always try to put to people is nobody's CBD is more CBDer. Um, there's so much more to the plant. The really cool thing is I think taking that step out of the equation, we see a bunch of other fun cannabinoids, minor compounds from the plant that are very beneficial too. So when you think about what these products do, so with age, lifestyle, environment, all these different things, we find that our cannabinoid system, we're all very different, can become deficient through stress, and especially with pets because they age so much faster. So what we find is that providing a wide array of them is going to be much more beneficial, and a lot of times not focusing on one, but rather the reason we don't want to focus on one is because they all seem to do something different, a little bit different in the body. So what we find is providing a wide array of them. And what we also find is that when we provide that wide array, they work synergistically or better together. And a lot of times we don't have to use as much. And that's always the best option when you're talking about a natural product.
Yeah, absolutely. So that makes a lot of sense. And I think what it would be a good thing to do now is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I want to pull up the two products that we do have from Earth Buddy that do have CBDA in them.
Yes.
So let me just grab my proper screen here. Okay, so I actually just ran over to the Joint and Mobility sign up page, which everyone can just get to. You can just go to earthbuddypet.com. You can just come to the homepage. And then at the top here, you can see this is this banner that we have that brings you right into the study. But the reason I'm coming, and then you can just sign up for the study here. But the reason that I'm coming to the study page is because I know that it has our two CBDA products lined up right next to each other. So let me just make sure you all can see that. Yeah, it looks like you all can see that pretty good. So Sean, can you tell us about these two products? Why do we have two different ones? One's called Mobility, one's called Balance. What are the differences between them? And then I want to ask one super techie question, which
Yeah.
has to do with ratios, because I noticed that there's like CBDA to CBD and then CBD to CBDA. So I just kind of want to ask that techie question at the end, or nerdy question at the end, rather.
Yeah.
But most importantly, let's begin with, why do we have these two different products?
Yes, so they both have the same active ingredients in them, but at different ratios, like you just spoke to. So mobility is going to be a higher amount of CBDA. It's actually a 4-to-1 ratio, so 400 milligrams of CBDA and then 100 milligrams of CBD. That's the mobility. And then on the balance side, we have a even 1-to-1 ratio of 250 milligrams of CBDA and 250 milligrams of CBD. So why did we do two different products with the same ingredients but a little bit different levels?
Yeah.
So again, it speaks to the point I was just trying to elaborate on. Of there's every pet is different. We're all different, and we all respond to things very, very different. So when we look at the wide array of CBD products in the market, a lot of the marketing that we've seen has been around like CBD is just going to fix everything, and it's this magic bullet. And we really didn't agree with that from day one. Funny story I'd like to bring up about just kind of the inception of Earth Buddy is when we started, and we were doing R&D, and I had a dog named Kiva that was kind of the inspiration for Earth Buddy. We were making, our treats and our oils, and we were kind of testing them out on our own pets because we knew it would help, and it was helping my dog Kiva. But one of the driving factors in starting Earth Buddy was finding a good source before we have now partnered with our farm and our facility. And so we were looking in Colorado because at the time, all the pet products in the market were promoting that European hemp was the greatest hemp in the world. So we were like, no, Colorado does it really good. Let's find a source. So we found this one source, and this is still in the R&D phase. And they were giving us this product, but we were lab testing it, and it kept coming back as CBDA. So they weren't doing the process to convert it to CBD. And
they were telling you it was CBD.
Yes, exactly. So
Wow.
the funny reason I bring up that story is, and a note that always stuck with me was that product was really effective, and it really helped my dog Kiva, and it was really working. We just were kind of unsure about it. So just a funny little note. But why we do these things is we're not saying there's a one size fits all dose, and there's not one CBD product or administration or formulation that is going to do all of this stuff. It's only one molecule, and like I said before, nobody's CBD is CBD-ier, and there's only so much we can do with one product. We have many times where a pet can take the same dose, and they're a little dog, and then not see any result. And then we have a big dog that takes the same dose, and it helps with whether it's calming or their joint mobility. So we're all very, very different, and so having these two different options is going to give you a bit of a variety to be more experimental with, and then also, in our opinion, not just expect a silver bullet to fix all your dog's problems. So
yeah, there's so much I love about that story. Like, I love the authenticity and the transparency of, in the beginning, before you all had your own farm, when you were sourcing and testing on your own pets, that you thought you were getting CBD and you were actually testing it. And I love that you guys were testing it yourselves and then finding out this isn't even CBD, this is CBDA. But you were like, but wait, this is actually like, it's not CBD, but it's helping my dog.
yes.
And so I love that then, I just think that's something that's so cool about your company in general. I think that it's very, I'm trying to think of the word, just, not so corporate that it's like, it's you, and that when you see something is working, you're not going to say, oh, well, I have to rule that out because we're a CBD company. Instead you're like, wait a second, CBDA is doing something like, and I want to, figure out what more can it do. And actually, speaking of that farm, I thought it would be a good time now to maybe bring up some of those pictures of the farm that we have now, so that some folks can see what we have. So give me just 1 second as I navigate this whole screen share thing. So let me just remove what I have there and then add, hang on, let me stop that screen share, present a new one. Share screen, grab a window. Okay. All right. So these are some pictures of our farm now, and this is Earth Buddy's farm, which is so cool. So Sean, I don't know if you want to talk about
Yeah, I
any.
can tell you guys a little bit about the farm. So, really cool aspects about this farm. We grow small crop, as opposed to big agriculture where you see these big farms. We grow more of a horticulturalist approach. We grow on 5 acres. There's an aquaponic system that captures glacial melt water from the Rocky Mountains. There's my partner Sarah and I playing with our dogs, and my recently passed Tito, who passed last February. I always love seeing pictures of him, so thanks for bringing those up.
Which one is he?
Tito's the little guy that I'm grabbing. He's in the original picture that we put up for this. He's the guy with the little hat right there at the bottom.
This one?
Yeah, that's Tito.
Awesome.
Tito is the best. I miss him very much, but we unfortunately lost him to cancer, but man, did we fight it. And that's the beauty is like with all these things, we create these products like with him in mind and with Kiva, my first dog. I always think, worst case scenario at the end because our pets age so much faster. But just from like a regular daily use, there's so many benefits that we could have. One thing, just touching back on the CBDA is that with CBDA, it's much less sedative from what I've witnessed personally. A lot of CBD products can be pretty sedative, including our own. And we have, our calming study that we just conducted. But for an older pet, like with Tito, who had cancer, I didn't need to knock him out. I wanted him to, feel up and moving and keep his personality, still want to go on walks and stuff. And with older dogs, sleeping 16 plus hours a day, I don't need him more drowsy. So I think, products like our CBDA products and things like that will be another option that are a little bit less sedative and still keep their personality, but might help with their comfort levels.
Yeah, so let's get back to that really quick because I know we were talking about this briefly earlier, Sean, that there's between mobility and between balance, there's you would maybe use the use case for one might be a little different than the use case for the other. So you were just starting to allude to that. Could you kind of explain? I think you were saying that mobility was for a little bit more for discomfort that comes, but that balance is a little bit more. I'll let you.
Yeah. So what we're finding in these products, when we formulated them, we worked with a bunch of veterinarians and vet techs all over the country that are very like cannabis, hemp use friendly. And, we went to them and we said, here's what we're using right now. What do you think? And so having two different products that have the same active ingredients, I think was a no-brainer for us. So with mobility, what we find is this is more geared towards your pets with the joint discomfort are starting to slow down. That's the number one focus is like if they're having more issues with their joint mobility and up and moving and things like that. Getting off the couch, getting on the couch if they're allowed on there, that kind of stuff. Whereas balance, and let me just preface this with both of them, they both still have CBD in them. We're not just giving up on it. It's just at much lower levels. So we still feel that these whole plant extracts are beneficial, but there needs to be a variety of them. And this is what both are providing. But with balance, it's a more even ratio. So if joint discomfort or mobility is an issue, but then they're also just getting older, they might have a little bit more stress. They don't like when mom and dad leave the house, that kind of thing, the separation stuff. And that might be a better product that not only helps with their joint issues, but also maybe a little bit of the stress. So it's a much more comprehensive product that if there's more than just the joint issues going on, we have that option too. either way, having these two options, we're not saying that this one molecule like CBD is going to do all this magic. We're saying that there's a bunch of different varieties here, and that you can experiment a little bit with both, or you can even alternate.
Right. And that was something else that we were talking about. It's just that, the body is so dynamic and so unique, each body, just even with humans and medicine, something might work really well on me, but, might work terribly for you. And the same thing for animals, that certain molecules might be more effective for certain symptoms in one animal versus the other. I think, Sean, you and I were talking about how my, 70-pound black lab uh, tolerates, she gets real kind of sleepy from 4 milligrams of CBD. Whereas like some Chihuahuas take double that and they're, just kind of romping around. So it's really interesting to see. And actually, I'll go into this story because it's silly but funny. But I was testing my dog for an electric fence, and again, 70-pound black lab. And the man said with the electric collar, he said that when he was testing it with her and getting her all set up, he was like, I was so nervous because I didn't want her to have an electric collar at all. And he was like, trust me, you'd rather have her on this collar than for her to run out in the street. And I said, okay, fine. But I said, but how bad is the pain? Like, what's the level? And he said, there are 20 levels of pain, like 20 levels of shock value that we can have this collar be. He's like, your dog is a level 1. He was like, I have Chihuahuas that are levels 8 and 9. He's like, that's how sensitive your dog is. So it really is so amazing how dynamic the animal is. And I mean, that's just talking about an electric collar. I mean, think about what's going in the body. So I think it's really cool that you present these different molecule blends, and you just kind of understand that something that might just be just a hair a little different than something else might be the thing that works for the pets.
Yeah, there's no one size fits all dosage for all things. So,
Yeah.
in terms of dosing, we always say start low and go slow. That's a good practice with any natural product. And as opposed to your typical medications or pharmaceuticals, this is a natural plant extract. And especially with our products, we really try to focus on keeping it as true to that plant as possible. So there's a wide variety of plant compounds that go in. And I always compare us to the essential oil world of, like, when you diffuse lavender, you're not just diffusing one single compound in lavender, you're diffusing the whole plant. And it's no different when it comes to hemp or cannabis. So using the whole plant and being a little bit experimental. And maybe we could talk about, kind of how to use it and some considerations when using the products too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think going into, just when you talked about dosing a little bit, I just want everyone to know that we do have, just navigate the website with me here for a second. So as you know, this is our website, and you'll see a lot of stuff about our ongoing study, which we're about to dive into a little bit more with you and tell you more
Yes.
about. But we first wanted to tell you about what CBDA is, since that's what we're doing the study on. But we have this great section called Learn up on our top menu. And so when you get to this Learn section, if you just go to safety, quality, and dosage, this is where you'll start to learn a little bit about what dosing might be right for your pet. And we have a guide that you can follow. We also have a chat with a great veterinarian, because Sarah Andre, and talking about all of these questions. So feel free to, I think one of the biggest things that Earth Buddy tries to do is educate and help consumers learn the most that they can, to feel empowered to administer these molecules of hemp to their animals. So feel free to come into here. And then also, if you come over to industry, we're going to go into industry study section in a minute, where you're going to see some of the results from our last study. But before we do that, let's talk about, Sean, if you think it's a good time now to talk about our actual study that we have going on right now. So
Yes.
we explained a little bit to everybody what CBDA is, and that I think essentially anyone who's listening that might have an aging pet or a pet that's experiencing, I think what we've kind of outlined CBDA is good for is if there's any type of like discomfort or joint discomfort, or if there's other symptoms of aging that you see. So if for anybody that's experiencing those things, this would be a great study to get involved in. And I'm going to let Sean go through the logistics of, you know, how long the study goes for and what it entails, and that, like, do you get to do it at home? And yes, you do get to do it at home, spoiler. And just another like major reminder that the sign up is through November 23rd. So you have about 7 days to sign up for this left. So take it away, Sean. Tell us a little bit more about this study.
Yeah. So now, so basically what we're doing is now through the 23rd, we're offering a 50% off to enroll in the study. The enrollment's pretty simple. You can enroll and fill out some questions about your pet. And then once you add your phone number, we then send you some text messages every day for about 26 days total. You pick the time that you want to receive the text. I went through this whole study myself prior to actually launching it. It's super simple. It takes like 3 or 4 minutes a night. You just answer a list of questions based on your pet's comfort and what you're seeing with the product, both prior to using the product, if you're using any other products, and then once you get the product, you know, what your daily use is like and what you're seeing. So it's really nice to have this real world data because you know, I love the clinical studies and things like that, but you're gonna be using it with your pet in your daily schedule, and I think that's really important whenever considering, especially a natural product. Is like, let's make it, you know, conducive to your schedule. So you can pick the question, you can pick when you receive your text message to get the questions. You know, I picked at night because it was just easier for me, and then you answer them 3 to 4 minutes. And then once you complete the study, we'll send you another coupon for 50% off the product. And we want to reward that for you being a part of it and you know, helping us with the data. We always have ideas of, you know, what we think helps, but hearing from our customers and hearing how their experience went is the most real world data we can find.
Yeah, and I think we noticed there was, you know, as CBD becomes more popular, CBD and these various molecules, CBDA, CBN, all these things, we're not seeing a whole ton of data or studies, especially on animals, about it. So I think that was one of your biggest incentives, Sean, was to get that data out for people so that they can start to feel more comfortable and be like, okay, you know, in our last study, for example, that we just ran in July, I mean, we had 75 pets,
Yes.
cats and dogs that, and we have like statistics of
Yes.
how well they did. And I think being able to give that out to pet owners instead of them, you know, Googling online or maybe talking to a vet, which obviously talking to a vet is fantastic, but maybe just Googling online. I mean, you can't find a whole lot of data. You might find that maybe, you know, okay, it was tested in humans or it was tested on mice or rats, and but you just don't know with the animal, and it's hard to say is my baby cat or my baby precious dog going to respond in the same way. So so
That's a great point. That's a great point, Marissa. And I think so when we shop for things, we typically look at reviews and we look at like 5-star ratings, and that's great. That might help with, you know, your household appliances, but like having real world data that we use, you know, a statistical analysis for was great. And to the calming studies point, it was really cool because we did it during the most stressful time of year for pets, which is July. You have fireworks, you have thunderstorms, you have people coming in and out of the house, you know, you have parties and all that stuff. And so we're really excited because if you just, you know, Google what's the best blah blah blah, you're going to get like lists of top 10s, but there's no real data behind it. So what was really cool about the calming study is that now we can actually share, like, through a usage case, multiple usage cases, in this case 70 pets, you have 70 pets that use these products and saw, reduction in stress. So when selecting a product, it's like, all right, who's used it and what did they actually see? This is the best case scenario. The really cool thing is we used a wide variety of products for this study because we didn't want to limit it to just one thing.
Yeah.
And so we used our oil form, which is our hemp extracts. We used an edible form, which is our hemp hearts. And then we used our water soluble form, which is a more fast acting form of CBD. And the really cool thing is across the board, what we noticed is that there is not only an ease of use, but also the effectiveness. Overall, we saw over 90% see a reduction in stress. My favorite stat that I always try to bring up, though, is that the consistency of use, even in small doses, over that 25-day period, they saw around a 30% decrease in stress. So to me, if you think about effectiveness and how products work, during July, most stressful time. So we really put our products up against the stress of it. And we saw that reduction in stress during that time. I think about my little guy, Tito, he would get so stressed out in certain scenarios like the car and stuff. And maybe we don't get rid of his stress completely, but if I can see a third of his stress go down, that's a pretty big drop. So for me, that helps me make a decision a lot easier when I'm picking a product to address something for my pet. So really excited about that. And leading back to our current study, I'm really excited for that because, especially with active lifestyles with dogs, we can really see some good results out of this and actually speak to that from a data standpoint. So,
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm excited because, we have this on the calming side, which is like a big reason people come to us. But now we can go to one of the second most common reasons people come to our products is, joint mobility and their dog getting older or their cat getting older. Yeah, I have to mention too, we're not limiting this to just dogs. If you have a cat, this absolutely can help. And definitely with cats, it's always tricky. Make sure we're mixing in something yummy, but it's always a nice option for them as well.
All right, Sean. Well, I'm going to throw in a little kicker. We said we were saving Q&As for the end, but since we're talking about cats, we have a lovely question from Sue Carter. Hi, Sue. Thank you so much for tuning in. And she was asking about her cat. And you were just saying that this wasn't limited just to dogs, that it is limited to cats. And she says, I don't know if you can see it up there on the screen, but she says, would this help my spazzy cat, Hazel? So I don't know if she's referring to just the CBDA or the CBD, but essentially it sounds like she has a sassy cat, maybe, a cat that's maybe, has a lot of energy, perhaps a little spastic. So what do you think might be a good product for her?
Yeah, I think, with cats, they're tricky and they typically don't like plant extracts. So what I always tell people is, the set and setting in which you give it to your pet, whether it's a dog or a cat, especially if they're picky, try to make the experience enjoyable. And any of our products, I typically like oil based products for cats because one, they're more concentrated. You shouldn't have to use as much. And two, you can mix it in stuff that they would actually like. With any cat, I always say start as low as possible to the point where maybe you don't even see a response right away, and mixing it in something that they'll enjoy, making that experience enjoyable as opposed to traumatic. So especially with cats, it's like we don't want to cause more trauma than we're trying to address.
Yeah. I think set and setting is something that we've talked about in the past, but I don't know that everybody knows what it is. Can you just explain it a little bit more for us, what set and setting means, just so that Sue completely understands that?
Yeah, and this is great for any pet owner, for even the joint and mobility study and even the calming study, and just with any of these products. Set and setting in which you give a product like this to your pet is important. So what we say with set and setting is, what we mean is mindset, your own mindset. So your stress level
Yep.
can actually impart on your pet. And I've been guilty of this. I think we've all been, when we're giving them, maybe medication or something that we know they're not going to like. So your mindset going into it, as much as I can tell you, try to work on your stress level and the environment that you give it to them in, and then the setting itself of, are we doing it in food, or are we in a calmer setting in the house, those kind of things. So I think, trying to give something to your pet when they're already at a level 5,000 is
Yeah.
expecting a lot of magic to happen, and that's not what our products are. They're a plant extract. So it's always nice to have a very calm state when we can give it to them, and have a much better situation when we're administering that product. And then from a setting standpoint, mixing in food makes it more enjoyable, a little bit more relaxed environment, as opposed to trying to squirt it in their mouth and
Right.
causing more stress than we're treating.
Yeah, I have a dog that has a little bit of separation anxiety. And so for me, set and setting would be not like right before I leave the door giving her a treat, when she's already like, "Oh, I see you leaving," and she's anxious. And I'm like, "Here's a treat," like I think that she'd already be in this kind of nervous setting.
Yeah.
Even though she loves treats, I think it's still, she's already like nervous about it. Whereas if I was leaving like an hour after giving her breakfast, she's used to her breakfast. So it's not like she's
Right.
getting a random treat out of nowhere. She's used to her breakfast at a certain time. And so if I kind of sprinkle it in to her breakfast,
Right.
then it's like by that hour that I leave, she's already calm, because I gave her her breakfast. Everything was normal with the breakfast. She got it at the same time. I was still there for another hour,
Yeah.
like that kind of setting, I think is definitely, cool. And one of the things I like about the tincture is that we have a couple dogs in the house, and some of them like different treats. And so sometimes I'm not even using the Earth Buddy hemp hearts. Like I literally will just take the treat that they know and love, and I'll take
Yeah.
a dropper. I'll take the tincture of your CBD, and then I'll just drop it onto the treat, and then
Yeah.
just give the dog that treat as well. So
Yeah,
there's,
there's you have to make it conducive to what your pet likes. And
yeah.
I always say this to pet owners is, your pet better than us. And you know what they like. And if you can start really low just to kind of confirm that you can put it in something, that's
Mhm.
always better. I mean, I'm very fortunate that I have a dog that literally will lick it out of the dropper. She just loves the
Wow.
she loves the smell and taste, and there might be something to that. Our bodies, know what we like,
Yeah.
and she might be associating with that. Hey, that's the stuff that makes me feel better. So every pet is different, and I think making the experience enjoyable for them is always my go-to when talking about how to give it to them. The other cool thing about all these studies too, both the calming and the joint mobility, is one thing that we always say is, create a schedule and try to track it with a journal. Well, what the studies are going to do is going to help you stay on schedule. It's going to help you track everything because you're answering these questions every night, and we're doing it for you. So it kind of adds another step out of the equation for you, where we're kind of doing the work for you in terms of tracking and that scheduling.
Okay, so what you're saying is with the study, because I know you always say, I know with some of your interviews with veterinarians, they've also advised, like whenever you're starting the CBD product, to keep a journal so that you guys can slowly track like where the maximum or minimum effective dose is. But what you're saying is if they're signing up for this study through the software that we're asking the questions to them for, it's actually already going to be kind of like creating that journal in a way.
Yeah, it's not something that you'd be able to go back and reference, but the cool thing is we share all the results. So we share all the results after this, and then they'll be able to say, "Hey, I was a part of this, and this is what overall the group of participants saw." So the good thing about journaling is like when you can actually track everything on a daily basis, you start recognizing and paying more attention to what you're seeing in your pet. And I've noticed that with my own pet, just from like feeding and certain types of foods and what does well with her and what doesn't. And when you start tracking that in any kind of way, you start paying attention more. So I think this is a really good opportunity to see what helps and what doesn't.
Definitely. Well, all right. So we digressed a little bit, but Sue, I hope that that helped answer your question. That set and setting would probably be the best answer for would it help your spazzy cat Hazel? And I think just actually, let's just make sure we totally answered her question. Do you have a product in general that you think would be good for her to start with?
Yeah, with any kind of like stress or behavioral things, I think checking out the calming study is a really good one. Those products were specifically picked
Yeah.
for that kind of issue with behavior and stress.
Yes.
And now that we have that, that's a really easy recommendation of like you really can't go wrong with any of those products. Obviously, for kitties, we don't recommend the treats; they're not meat based. So cats being carnivores. We usually push them away from that. We say they're for dogs. But the cool thing is we have many options. We have smaller options that are a little bit more cost effective for cat owners because they are such a smaller animal.
Yeah. So you might have just seen, Sue, that I went over to just that the Learn industry study section just so I could get back to that calming study and see which products were used in that calming study. And so Sean's saying those hemp parts were probably not going to be very exciting for your cat, but the hemp extract most likely will. And I think the 250 milligram, right? That's the one that you think, Sean, is like for like cats and small breeds. Is that right? Let's see.
Absolutely. And it's really functional to mix in things. Cats, their dosage is so low and we see such a good response with kitties because they don't need as much. And they often respond really well. So you can start very, very conservative with the dosage and mix it in something yummy. Tips I've heard from our own customers is like even something like tuna juice or, fish broth, or there's plenty of stinky stuff that we can mix it in and they wouldn't know the difference.
All right, Sue. Well, I hope we answered your question. If not, feel free to email us at info@earthbuddypet.com and we can help you out some more. So let's get back to just kind of, I guess, wrapping on the details of this study,
Yes.
the CBDa study that we're getting into. So basically, Sean, to recap, I'm going to try to recap what you said to see if I'm understanding it correctly. But basically, what anyone would do is you can just go to our website, which actually I can throw up a banner for you all. Okay, so it's just earthbuddypet.com. And then you'll see at the top of our homepage. So this is our homepage, but you'll see at the top of our homepage, we have this huge kind of black bar that runs across, and it is talking about the joint and mobility study for pets, in which you would get the 50% off the CBD, any of the CBDA products right away. And then once those come and get shipped and arrive to you, you'll be asked some questions about your pet's lifestyle. And then after a few days, the actual administration of the product to your animal will begin. And then you can pick a time of day where you can just pick up your cell phone. I liked how Sean was telling me that when he did the study, he set it for like 9:30 at night, because it's like you're kind of going to bed and you can recap the day of like, how did it go with the pet? So then you can take those 3 or 4 minutes to answer those questions for us. And you do that for a consistent 22 days, ideally, if you follow all the way through. And then if you do follow all the way through the study with us, we give you another 50% off the products on the back end. So you get 2 chances to get 50% off, which is really exciting. Did I miss anything there, Sean?
No, that's everything. I think, one thing I would just point out is we immediately start asking them questions though prior to getting the product. So we want to know where their pet's at before taking the product. So we have to start from somewhere, and we're not with their pet. So we want to see kind of where they're at, and then where they're at afterwards after taking our product for a couple weeks. So I think it's a really nice way to see if these products actually work, because you can have all the marketing in the world, But if there's no data behind it and no real world data, in my opinion, it's hard to really say that it's going to work for all these different pets. And when we have a nice sample size and a big group of pets that have actually used this, and then you're getting that straight from other pet owners, not just us and our marketing, I think that that's worth its weight in gold. I'd rather make a decision based on that. And oftentimes, when we think about like diet in the pet world, a lot of the information out there is from other pet owners, and a lot of the trusted information out there is from other really caring and dedicated pet owners that are like, hey, this is the thing that I went through. It was terrible, and then I did this, and now my pet is doing so much better. I see that so much in the pet world, and that's important because I can tell you how good our stuff is all day, but if you don't have any real world experience, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I just think that that's so special. I'm coming back into our industry studies, and again, you'll see we only have one because we just completed our first one, and it was so exciting. It was all about calming, and we've already shown you this page, but you can continue to read on all of the stats that we got, and we actually not only did this visually, but we went on to write an article about it as well that you can click into, and you can get some more of the the verbiage and statistics that we found. But to be able, I think, like, was the big mission to be able to have something like this so that the consumers, that our family and friends can see and really feel like, oh my gosh, like I can see this 91% effective, and that I know that it was 75 pets over 26 days. Like that's that speaks for itself. It's like a picture's worth 1,000 words, like it's something, it's a statistic. So what we want to be able to do is to try to get more of those statistics out there for people. So if you join our study, if you have an aging pet where you think maybe they're having some mobility issues or just other discomforts of aging, and you think they might be a good fit for this study, I think it would be really cool to be a part of this, to let people know, wow, we have something that's over 90% effective, and that was oh my goodness, 95% easy to give, and over 86% enjoy the taste. I mean, those are things that we love to be able to say instead of like, hey, our product tastes good, try it. Or, this really allows you to choose for yourself what you think is the right product for you. And so I think that pretty much sums it up about the CBDa study.
Yeah.
And again, just to let everyone know, that deadline to sign up is through November 23rd. So you have about a week. And gosh, I think that was a lot of really great information about CBD and CBDA. So I hope we helped answer that question for you. And, we also learned about calming and joints and mobility. So thanks so much, Sean. I actually have a couple other questions for you before we close. Yeah. It looks like we have like maybe 10 minutes before we wrap at an hour here. Oh, but it looks like we do have another little comment that just came in from Muddy Paws Doggy Spa. We've been with you from the beginning. Love all the products. Oh,
no, I love that. It's funny. I was in one of our first stores that we ever called on, and like Muddy Paws Doggy Spa. We started at retail level. We didn't even have a website for like the first year we were in business. And so working with retailers like that has been huge in terms of like hearing their feedback. So it's been an honor to work with so many other small businesses and have, stores like Muddy Paws Doggy Spa. So very fortunate and thankful that, they reached out. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Muddy Paws Dog Spa. We're happy you're listening, and we hope to be in touch with you more. All right. So I have a couple more questions for you, Sean, and then I will set you free. I'm curious that I guess I want to figure out which one I want to start with. I guess I'm going to start with, what do you think singles out Earth Buddy from other brands as a CBD manufacturer?
Yeah, I think that's a favorite question of mine to answer, because I think um, one of the things I see is that many brands have just created their whole company around just being just a CBD brand, and I think we are so much more than that. Uh, um, yes, we grow and manufacture everything. We have products with CBD in all of them, but we also focus on more than just CBD. Um, we have products that are more functional. We have many different options. We have different molecules that we're talking about. We have digestive products. We have allergy products. So we are not just a CBD company. We really try to address multiple issues that are in pets. And then the other thing is that our transparency and just our sourcing, and that's been a very, very key thing for us when we look at how we formulate products, working with veterinarians and getting their honest feedback on kind of what they're seeing, what issues we can address, but then also paying attention to the details of our sourcing and being transparent about that. There's not much that we won't tell you about our products. There's nothing proprietary. And I think, the thing that separates us is we're not saying CBD is this magic bullet, and we're not just Earth Buddy CBD, we're Earth Buddy Pet. And we have so many options for you beyond just another CBD product. It's sold everywhere. There's many companies out there. There's some really good companies out there, but I think with us, we're not just limited to that. So when looking at supplements for your pet, we can address a lot of different things.
Yeah, and I love that sense of, I'm getting this feeling, the word that's coming to me is just like the sense of innovation, and it just like makes me excited about the future for Earth Buddy, and just how you're always looking at like next molecules. So I think you'll be a really exciting brand to follow, and to be a part of these upcoming studies, and just that you're not, stuck on one particular molecule. So, or one particular plant, even. I know you do have also like mushrooms in some of your products, and so I think it just really leans towards a really exciting future for the brand. And one of the things that I've been noticing with your brand that I love so much is just the process. I just love that you have your farm, it's outdoors, that your plants get Colorado sunshine, and you mentioned, that their water is fed through like glacial melt from the Rockies, or right? Like, I mean, everything just seems so, like, the process is just so beautiful, really.
Yeah, and I think to kind of build on that is so often we're detached from where our products come from, and very rarely people that actually make their products. So we are not a marketing brand. We're really focused on doing what's best for our pets and creating products that we can actually speak to every step of the process. So we're happy to answer any of those questions anytime you reach out to us. And we're very proud of what we do with both the hemp plants, but also on the mushroom side and some of the other products. But yeah, for today, we're happy to talk about the raw form of what these plants produce, and looking at pets with joint issues. So hopefully we can help a lot of pets, and hopefully we've helped a ton of people understand what it is. And I'm hoping that if you have an older pet or an older dog or cat that is experiencing any kind of discomfort with joints and mobility, we have an option for you, and we have two options actually, and we're really interested in your feedback on it. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any further questions. But all the study links and enrollment stuff is on the website. So thank you for having a little bit of a lunchtime with me and Marisa. Yeah.
Yes, and thank you everyone for tuning in, and Sue, and we're just so happy to have all of you, send us messages. It means the world, and we really do hope that these products, can help some of those aging pets. So that study deadline is November 23rd, and if you do have any questions, I'm going to type right here. Sean, I'm going to put you on blast, and I'm going to give everyone your email address.
There you go.
Info
Reach
at Earth Buddy Pet. That is Sean's email address. You can talk to him through there if you have any questions. But
Yes.
otherwise, just go ahead and log on to earthbuddypet.com and go to that top banner and sign up for our study. So thanks everyone so much for your time today. Thank you, Sean. Really appreciate it. And we'll catch you at the next live.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.